Alright, what's up guys? So in this video we are going to talk about the neuroscience of becoming the best version of yourself. And you're probably wondering, what do I mean by the neuroscience of becoming the best version of yourself? What we're going to be looking at today in this video is how neuroscientifically you can start to change your brain and your neural pathways to become the best version of yourself and achieve the goals and dreams that you want to achieve. So we're going to be talking about the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, neuroplasticity, and the RAS. So firstly, let's start with your anterior mid-cingulate cortex. So essentially, this is a part of your brain that grows and develops the more and more you do things that are difficult to do. So I only found out about this part of your brain from Dr. Andrew Huberman. But it's something that I thought was really powerful and really important to share with you guys, so I want to mention it in this video. So basically, as I said, it's part of your brain that grows and develops the more and more you do things that are difficult to do. So at the same time, I want you to keep in mind that if it's something that was once difficult to do but is no longer difficult to do, and you keep doing it, it no longer essentially keeps growing that part of your brain. It has to be things that are constantly difficult at each stage of your life. So for example, let's say it's something like going to the gym. If you go to the gym, the process of going to the gym and getting yourself into the gym and developing that habit when you're tired and after work or after a very tiring day, and you don't really feel like it, when you first start going to the gym and as you're developing that habit, you're going to be able to grow your anterior mid-cingulate cortex, and that essentially will help you keep going to the gym in the future, because now it's actually easier to keep going to the gym because now you've essentially grown that part of your brain. And the same thing applies with other habits and other things that are difficult to do in your life but are equally important for you to do. So let's take something else like meditation, for example. The process of meditation changes your brain, but that's a different story. But for now, we're just talking about developing habits that are difficult to do. So let's take meditation or deep work or anything that requires you to do something that's difficult to do. Or let's say it's something like doing cold approach or public speaking, or something that's outside of your comfort zone, something that's difficult to do. Or let's say going on a run. You get the point. Essentially something difficult to do. The more and more you do it, the easier and easier it gets to keep doing it, essentially. And that's because the more and more you do it, the more and more that part of your brain grows and develops, and then at a certain point now that becomes your baseline, and that becomes easy and normal, and you've developed that habit. And so how does this connect to becoming the best version of yourself? It helps you understand that the first part is what's hard, but once you get that, your brain will literally change to essentially help you do things that are difficult to do. And that's the important thing to keep in mind with this part of your brain. But also, it also means that in the future, when you plan to do things that are more and more difficult, when you become a better version of yourself, because the bar just keeps raising, so you're going to have things that you need to do that are more and more difficult. And so it helps you keep developing and keep growing, because now your baseline is higher and higher for the amount of difficulty that you can now handle. So next let's talk about neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity essentially is how your neurons basically form neural pathways that change when you start to develop a new habit or do things that are difficult to do. Or, well, not necessarily difficult to do, but anything really. So for example, if you change the way you think or you visualize or you take action, that's something that you didn't do before, it's just going to make it easier to keep thinking in that same way and keep doing things in that same way. Again, which kind of connects to habit formation. And so let's take something like thinking positively, or let's say thinking positively. If you want to think positively, the more and more you start to think positive thoughts, your brain is literally going to change, because your neural pathways that you once had are going to change to make it easier and easier to keep thinking positive thoughts the more and more you start thinking in a positive way, because your brain will literally rewire itself, and that is neuroplasticity. So as you start thinking positive thoughts, you start being more grateful, your neurons are going to form neural pathways that essentially make it easier to keep being grateful and keep thinking positively. And it's the same thing with other things as well. So if you visualize yourself being the best version of yourself, again, the more and more you do it, because your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between what's imagined and what's real. And so the more and more you do it, the more and more you visualize yourself as the best version of yourself, the fittest version, the most confident version, the wealthiest version, the happiest version, your brain is going to, and your subconscious mind is going to start believing that you're already there. And so you're going to start thinking and forming neural pathways that are aligned with that visualization. And it's the same thing with the thoughts as well, or even actions that you take. So for example, let's say you're trying to journal more, the more and more you journal and you get into that practice of journaling, your brain is going to form neural pathways that basically make it easier to keep journaling and think clearly and articulate yourself better. So again, that's why I want you to keep in mind that neuroplasticity is super powerful, because literally you can change the way that you think, and when you change the way that you think, your actions change, and when your actions change, your habits change, and your habits change, and then your lifestyle changes, and then your whole life changes. And so it all starts from your mind and your thoughts. And so if you can change your thoughts, which we can see externally when we look at the brain and neuroplasticity, just changing the way you think will literally change your life. And in terms of neuroscience, your brain literally reflects this internal process. So I hope that makes sense as well. There was a little bit of rambling, but anyway, finally I want to talk about the RAS, the reticular activating system. And so the reticular activating system is also known as the RAS, is a part of your brain that basically is like a pattern recognition system. And so have you ever noticed, this is probably the most common example that's given when it comes to talking about the RAS, and what it has to do with is, this example basically is how, like, when someone gets a new car, they start to see their car everywhere. And it's not like the car wasn't around them before, but it's now the fact that because they're consciously aware of it, they start to see it everywhere. So I can't remember in terms of the exact numbers, but your brain or your conscious mind can perceive about, or your subconscious mind and your brain can perceive about 21 million bits of information per second, but you can only consciously perceive about 7 to 21. I can't remember the exact numbers, but the point is still the same. Your conscious mind can't perceive as many bits of information, and what determines the little bits of information that you can be consciously aware of is what you are focused on. And so if you're focused on the things, then the things that you want to focus on, you're going to see more of those things. And so how does this connect to becoming the best version of yourself? If you can start to focus on opportunities and be positive and focus on the things you really want to achieve and opportunities, you're going to start to see those opportunities all around you. And so it comes back to like the glass half full, half empty kind of thing. Because basically, if you are focused on the negatives and the difficulties in your life, you're going to just see more of those all around you, even though everything kind of exists. There's all these millions of pieces of information, but your brain's going to focus on the negative bits if you start to focus on things that are negative. But if you focus on what's positive, you're going to start to focus on those, and you're going to consciously be aware of those things. And the power is knowing that by focusing on the positive things, you're going to see more opportunities than you would have if you were focusing on the negative things. And when you can see the positive things and the opportunities around you, you're more likely to take action and then change your life for the better. Whereas if you were negative, you wouldn't have seen those opportunities and wouldn't have been able to take action on them anyway. So I hope that makes sense. And yeah, to just summarize this video, you want to start thinking positively, visualizing yourself in the way you want to live your life and achieving the dreams and goals that you want to achieve. And you want to start to make it a habit and really truly understand this, and yeah, just keep going on and on, just doing what you are supposed to do. And so even if you don't feel like doing these difficult things, your brain is literally going to rewire itself to eventually make it easy, and it's going to be a baseline thing for you to do. And so I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I just tried to, film that in one take without really making a script. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and that's it for now. If you want to work with me personally, I'll try and leave a link in my description, and then we can work on improving your life, whether that's in terms of dating, confidence, social skills, or gym stuff, nutrition, spirituality, meditation, all that stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you soon. Peace.